Ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha, and we're back for a third time of all things to discuss the multiplayer mod Skyrim together, particularly the apparent lead developer Max G. Riot, who formerly went by the pseudonym Yamashi. After my previous videos, I was contacted by the original person responsible for the founding of the Skyrim Together mod, Lagulous. As a result of that, I conducted a small interview in order to let him have his say on the matter surrounding how he was pushed out of his own project, his thoughts on the entire situation, and more, and that is what everyone will be listening to here today. For the sake of transparency, I did edit down this interview in the interest of time, and unfortunately, Legolas wasn't feeling well, so I do appreciate his taking the time, especially as he was feeling a bit under the weather. Also, as a beforehand, I have been granted access to the Skyrim Together Discord that Legolas had locked down in order to prevent Yamashi and others from deleting historical data, and I have been able to go through that Discord and verify that the screenshots that Legolas had posted on Reddit and other areas are indeed completely legitimate and remain unaltered. I know that there were some others that held concern that they might potentially be faked. I was informed some other YouTube channels had actually dismissed Legolas out of hand under that assumption, so I can verify with my own eyeballs that they have not been faked or altered in any way. That said, this is going to be a bit of a long video, so sit down, get comfortable, and let's hear what the original creator for Skyrim Together has to say.
Alright, so I'm going to mention a couple of things first. Number one, I was 16 years old at the time of creating Skyrim Together. I told everybody I was 19, and I lied. I own up to this, and I see how this was my fault, and nobody else can take the blame for this. Number two, I was an asshole back then. I was not a fun guy to be around if you weren't into my type of humor, and most of my humor was homophobic in some manner or similarly crude. That being said, Skyrim Together was not my first project, being the project manager of. And as such, I had learned to be professional when in these types of management situations. This being the case, I still stand by what I said about not being an asshole, uh, or sorry, what I said about being told to be an asshole to cause drama and gain the project attention. That being said, I have little proof to back this up, so I won't use this as a part of my overarching argument. Refer to screenshot one for the little proof that I have for this. While this isn't proof that everyone knew about it, I find it hard to believe that upon reading this message, not a single person said, wait, this is a gag? Stop. We don't like this. If they truly had no idea that I was using this as some sort of charade. To provide a brief summary for anybody who had not read my post, the issue is thus. I created Skyrim Together after seeing that Unreal Online's creator Siegfried had disappeared. I created a call to arms post and asked for anybody who wanted to help. A bit into the development of the mod, we got an application from a person named Max Griot, or Yamashi, as most commonly referred. He was the creator of a former Skyrim multiplayer mod, the first one called Skyrim Online. Due to this, I was actually reluctant to allow him entry because it seemed like he might not actually want to finish the mod. But ultimately, we decided to do so due to his superior knowledge on the subject. Upon gaining entry, Yamashi began to tell the team lies about how Siegfried stole his code to make Time Real Online and that we should not collaborate with him should he happen to return. This claim was laid to waste when Siegfried did return, noticed his accusations, and promptly rewrote the entirety of the mod to prove that he stole nothing. By this time, due to his superior knowledge on the subject, Yamashi was both the lead developer of Skyrim Together and the sole owner of the GitHub, where we collaborated and kept our code. For the entirety of the time, Yamashi refused to allow any sort of monetization due to not wanting to sell something that isn't finished, and refused to allow the project to be open source because he didn't want people like Siegfried to steal and claim his code again. Months went by, I was allowed to work on the project less and less, and most of my attempts at doing this, such as creating UI, were completely ignored. It was even to the point where I would be allowed to do things, but other people would get the credit, such as the case of Maya Jim getting credit for the website I made almost entirely on my own. When I attempted to make a Patreon, as people were requesting a lot, I was threatened with Yamashi's departure and was forced to take it down. Not soon after this, I was removed from the project altogether, and not soon after that, Yamashi put up a Patreon himself under his name. There are even a few rumors that he quit his job at Bethesda, but I'm not really quite sure if that's 100% the case. The community was told I was toxic to both the community and the team, which is not true if you look at the Discord logs. They said I did nothing to help and enforced deadlines that could not be met. I have said that I was told what deadlines we had by a there, but these were in Steam messages, and I don't have proof of it, so I will not focus on that. Some important things to note are the fact that Yamashi supposedly was working on negotiations for Skyrim Together to be an official part of Skyrim, which can be seen in the Discord. We also were using SKSC from the start, and as can be seen in the screenshots I've displayed, Yamashi knew that he wasn't allowed to use it. He was very often quoted being toxic, saying things about Siegfried, for example, and at one time replied to my basically saying, I want to please the community, as shown in screenshot 2, and replying with things like, the community does nothing, so we owe them nothing, and I don't see them as valuable, as shown in screenshot 3. Something to be said as well is that I had a small fight with the PR manager for Tamriel Online, and he told everybody I tried to shut down Tamriel Online subreddit after I gained ownership of it. The reason for this was that Siegfried was actually presumed dead, and after his return, I immediately returned the subreddit to its former glory and gave him control of it. I never had any ill will towards Tamriel Online. Siegfried, up to the point that I found out that he was not the thief he had been made out to be the entire time. One of the main things I want to touch on is how they've cleverly dodged the fact that they continue to spew lies. After creating my post on PC Game 10, they told me that the official statement from this team was that SKSC was old code from Skyrim Online. After I proved they were lying about this, they did a complete 180 and all but apologized for what they had used from SKSC. But notice how they never addressed it. Same thing with me altogether, my whole situation. I proved screenshots for almost all, if not all, of my accusations, and despite the community for it, they refused to actually acknowledge what they had done wrong. They in fact silenced anybody who attempted to make conversation regarding myself and banned anybody who even said my name in their Discord, as well as deleting any post on the subreddit that spoke of it. And still to this day, all they have said is the exact same things, despite my mounds of evidence to back my claims up. I was also told by somebody on the SKSC team that they had really disguised and reworded what had been said between them to, and I quote, make the ST team like not total scumbags. Most, if not all, of these accusations and claims are backed up by screenshots. I've allowed Sid access to our old Discord to verify the legitimacy of my claims, as well as use any of the content as he sees fit, regardless of whether or not it paints me in a bad light. Something to note is that I had not banned anybody in that Discord until after I had made my post about them. Yet, I had banned them, which leads me to believe that while this is not the only reason that they could be wanting access to the old Discord at the time, that they wanted to delete their messages or know what to start formulating lies about. That's why I've been neglecting to allow anybody up until this point. My last point is that I'm slightly concerned with content creators. Almost everybody except Sid has in some way, shape, or form alluded that I had fake screenshots or either completely ignored me or asked suspicious questions about my experiences, questions that almost sound like a trap of some sort. Though I'm not going to officially accuse anybody of this sort of thing.
So to speak, and I already stated this offline with you, but in relation to that, with people calling into question the screenshots and everything, I personally have already gone through the Discord doing a quick search for all of the screenshots that Legolas has posted here, and I can verify with my own eyes that they do exist. They've not been modified in any way. They're legitimate. I wish I could do more than that, but people will have to trust that I have seen the information in the old Discord, and he hasn't altered them in any way. Now, just to back up a little bit though, with a lot of this, so it seems like for a very long time, from what I'm gathering here from what you're stating, that Yamashi has slowly and systematically taken control of the project and forced everyone out before he created his own Patreon for the game, for the mod, and then obviously it's seen a great deal of success, getting over. I think at one point it was getting over well over 20,000 a month. It's decreased somewhat now, but
One bit of correction there is that he only forced me out because I was the only person he needed to force out.
okay.
Everybody, including me, actually trusted him 100% completely. So he just needed to remove me so that it could be his name that had the Patreon, for example. And it actually, before I made my post, it was making 37,000 a month. Now it makes 15,000 a month, but I digress.
Okay. So you were the only one forced out. Now this was your project to begin with, right? So you
Correct.
started this.
I started the project, yes.
Okay. And about how much time passed before when you started the project and when Yamashi or Max G, whatever he's calling himself now, how much time passed before he was brought on?
Before he was brought on, I want to say about 2 months passed because we actually originally started out as Tamriel Online. We were just going to continue under the name Tamriel Online. We were actually using Steam at the time to communicate, and then we moved to Discord, and then we made the new name and things like that. So I'm going to say 2 or 3 months before he was brought onto the team.
Okay. And after he was brought onto the team, about how much time passed before he managed to push you completely out?
I'm going to say another 2 or 3 months, maybe 4 months.
Okay, so it went pretty quickly then. What prompted his being brought onto the team? Was it, did he reach out to you, or did someone recommend him, or?
I believe he reached out to me on Discord, but this was after saying something on one of the posts that we had. Link right here. This was actually the first post that we made on the Tamriel Online announcing the fact that we were making a new mod here.
Let's see, and at that time he was a Bethesda employee.
Yeah, at that time he was a Bethesda employee. Some people have called that into question, but he actually messaged me, or emailed me using a ZeniMax email address, so I can confirm that.
Okay, so basically, so far, what I covered in the previous 2 videos, and obviously the first video was missing a lot of this information. The second one touched base a great deal on what you had posted on your Reddit and a lot of the screenshots and everything that followed along with that. So we had the big huge issue with Yamashi or Max G and the Skyrim script extender developers. And they actually put into their terms of use that he specifically was not able to make use of their mod.
Correct.
Which they are full well within their rights to do under copyright law. They can remove someone's ability to make use of their license, even though it is a mod and there's legal gray area in certain aspects of it. It's still their code, their license. They have full rights to be able to say who can and cannot make use of it. Yamashi seemed to have been of a different opinion in that regard. From the screenshot you had posted, which I showed in my previous video, where he said, yeah, good thing we changed the name. Yeah, too bad we renamed the project. And then apparently he said that, I'm quoting him here, they said that the mods using SKSE are required to be open source, and I told them to start enforcing on everyone and not just myself, and they got mad. Do you know if he was referring to the Skyrim script extender modders there, or if he was referring to Bethesda in that?
I believe that he was referring to the Skyrim script extender modders there. I believe that they got mad at him, and he tried to fight back against them, saying you need to use our rule. You need to abide by our rules if you want to use our extender.
And he obviously, it appears that they ignored that. Was it shortly after that he decided that they needed to remove the Skyrim script extender, but continue to use the parts that were in the mod that were required to keep it from breaking?
Yeah, I don't actually think that their issues with the Skyrim script extender team actually had any influence on their decision to take everything out and then put it back in like that. I think that was just more an optimization thing, because they didn't need a lot of Skyrim script extender in order to get this working, because this was not necessarily a content mod. This was don't quote me on this, but it wasn't a content mod, but it was something completely different. So Skyrim script extender wasn't necessarily needed for the vast majority of it. So yeah, I think it was just it was a short amount of time afterwards.
So you're in a position now that you were pushed out of your own project, and then you're seeing your own project used by someone else and making tens of thousands of dollars every month. And so I'm pretty sure, I would have to check with a couple of attorneys I know, but I'm pretty sure that since this was your project to begin with, you should still retain some form of legal rights to it. Have you investigated that possibility at all?
Yes, I did investigate that possibility. I was actually given a lot of backlash because of the fact that I didn't immediately relinquish control. They said it was a very immature move of me to not immediately relinquish control of the subreddit. I elected to hold on to it. You can see me saying some things in the I believe there is a screenshot floating around there somewhere of me replying to mod mail saying I'm just going to moderate it, things like that. That was because I was talking to Lorge at the time, trying to figure out what my rights to the project were. Unfortunately, it does so happen that because of our project at this scale, uh, I actually did not have any rights to it because of the fact that I lied about my age. And it wasn't necessarily that I didn't have any rights to it, but more that it could be easily counter argued and I could get a countersuit on my hands. And there would literally be nothing I could do about it because they said I was 19, I was actually 16, and because I lied about that, that gave them a false sense of, I guess, security as to my ability to manage the project, and I could be very easily countersued and be out a lot of money if that happened. So I elected not to go after it. That being said, if SKSC, for example, elected to sue them, file suit against them, I could be brought in as a character witness, things like that, and I would not be able to be countersued because of it. I don't believe that SKSC has any plans on filing suit against this team.
No, and I don't think they would. The primary reason for that is when you file a lawsuit, particularly a copyright lawsuit of that nature, it's to make yourself whole again, to remedy the damage that is being caused to you. The fact that they removed the Skyrim scripted extender components is, I believe that I don't know if they actually have yet or not, but they stated that they were going to go through and clean the rest of it up, means the infringement has been removed. It's been remedied. There are some punitive steps they could take, but the majority of the weight that the lawsuit would carry would be removed because of that, because they did willingly remove the infringing components. Was there anything else here that we needed to be made aware of, or anything that would raise additional concern about Yamashi specifically, or the dev team as a whole, in regards to how their manner, how they've acted, how they might treat their followers and backers? Anything else that you think we should be made aware of?
The main thing here is that I don't have anything against the Skyrim Together team itself. I have things against Yamashi because I worked with Evayer, and I don't know what he's named now. He's named something else, but Evayer and the other developers and stuff like that before Yamashi had gotten on there. I don't believe that they had any ill intentions. I don't believe that they were fueled by Yamashi's same want to gain control of everything. I originally thought that it was some sort of power thing or wanting to be the guy who did it since he already tried it with Skyrim Online and failed, as so I was led to believe. But I think that they don't have the same aspirations that he did. He legitimately had the same goals as me, and they were lied to just like the rest of the community. That being said, Yamashi's a scumbag, like an actual scumbag. He conned a 16-year-old boy out of a project that, and literally all I was gonna get out of it, even if we made money off of it, I wasn't even gonna handle the money. Like I was not gonna take a cent out of that. All I wanted was something to put on a university application or something. I wanted to have done something, and he essentially conned me out of it so that he could make money off of it. You can make the counter arguments all day, all you want, to say things like, "Oh, it has nothing to do. He's not going to use this." But if you just look at what he said about the money itself, like it just proves like there is no person who legitimately has no. There were so many things he could have done, so many things that all of them could have done to prove that they weren't abusing this just to make money, and they could have released an expense log. Where is that $37,000 a month going? If not, because I can guarantee you, you can buy a game server, a VPS that can run at minimum 3 Garry's Mod servers with 120 slots and zero lag for $60 a month. So that leaves a good amount of money that's going towards who fucking knows what. And if it's not going into their pockets, which I don't even care about, like, I mean, some people say, oh, well, they shouldn't be paid. They shouldn't be paid for it. They should be paid for it. They're doing a lot of good stuff. If it's something that everybody wants and they want to support them, that is nobody else's business. But them coming out and saying that it's not going towards them, they're not getting anything out of it. All it is towards quote unquote hackathons and server costs, which aren't even in the same ballpark as $37,000. And then coming out and saying some very choice manipulative words like that's not even minimum wage, and $37,000 a month split up amongst 10 people is minimum wage in every country except for France and I think Greece. So that's I mean, here it's in Texas it's $7.25 an hour, and that's you're making like a solid $2,000 to $3,000 a month. I believe I did the math right on that. $37,000 split up amongst 10. So if you would have come out and said, "Yeah, we're using this money. This is going towards us because we're doing a lot of work here," I would have been 100% okay with that, and I think a lot of other people would be too. But the fact that they're coming out and legitimately either lying about it or doing a very, very poor job of telling the truth is the thing that makes it most suspicious. But again, I have no ill will at all towards any of they or all of them. I think they have ill will toward me. I actually talked to one of their programmers, Dosh, I think it was, and he legitimately just seemed like he had no idea what the reality of the situation was. And I can't speak for all of them. I did post something saying, here is my Discord, here is my email. If any of the members on the Skyrim Together team have any doubts whatsoever about what I'm saying being true or not, you can contact me and I can provide you even more proof to all of this. And this was before the whole debacle with my original post. This was about a year, or I think it was like 4 months before that post. And it got deleted immediately, but I never got a single post from anybody or a single email from anybody. Still to this day, nobody on Evayer specifically is what surprises me. I don't know if he just doesn't care. He seems like the kind of person who just wouldn't care. But I have not gotten a single message or email from anybody saying anything, asking for any proof whatsoever. I don't know if it's just because they don't care or if they were in on it, so to speak. But I legitimately want to believe and kind of believe at the moment that they were fooled just as much as the rest of the community was. So if you're going to point your fingers at somebody, point your fingers at Yamashi. He's a scumbag. He's been proven to be a scumbag. He already said that he owes nothing to community. He said that in those screenshots that I provided, he doesn't see the community as valuable. He's literally all of everything he has said up until this point just screamed, yeah, I'm in this for money. So, I mean, do with that what you will.
And that's where we're going to leave off. This entire situation is what could be deemed terrible under even the best of circumstances. It appears that we have a developer that systematically took over and stole a project he was brought onto, and who has greatly enriched himself over that same project to the tune of tens of thousands of dollars, assuming that he was actually sharing the Patreon funds with the other modders on the team. If he has kept that money for himself, he would easily have earned 6 digits in crowdfunding, all for a mod that he has stated that he is tempted to not release to the public and keep for only the modders themselves, and also stated that he owes the community that has paid all of that money absolutely nothing in return. I would again advise people against supporting the Skyrim Together Patreon. Max G has enriched himself enough off of the goodwill of others, and he is entirely undeserving of such generosity. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha, and I'll see you next time.